Ooh, we got a big doubleheader in college hoops. It is the Champions Classic, Duke and Kentucky, and then Michigan State and Kansas. Now, interesting note, if Kansas wins tonight, Bill Self goes into uncharted territory in terms of Kansas. He would pass Phog Allen for the most coaching wins in program history at 591. The Champions Classic gets started with Kansas and Michigan State at 6:30 Eastern. And then we get a ranked-on-ranked matchup with two blue bloods in Duke and Kentucky. A lot of folks, it's going to be their introduction to seeing Cooper Flagg on television, the freshman phenom. That is at 9 Eastern, but again, kicks off with Kansas. They are favored against Michigan State at 6:30 Eastern. And let's preview the Champions Classic with the one and only Matt Norlander, also host of the Eye on College Basketball podcast. And Matt, we're going to start with Bill Self. We were talking last week when Bill Self needed a win to tie Phog Allen's record. Now we're talking about him surpassing it, 591 wins that he could get to, being the winningest coach in Kansas history. Obviously, Bill Self is leading the best team in the country for a reason. He already has a very long resume with a lot of accolades. But what kind of territory would this propel him in if he does get to 591?
I mean, listen, he's gonna surpass Phog Allen if it's on Tuesday night or in Kansas's next game. It's an inevitability here. And for record-keeping purposes and historical purposes, it is significant because Bill Self has a claim in many different ways as being the best coach in Kansas history, and thus one of the best coaches in the history of college basketball. So the fact that it's taken him 22 seasons to hit this mark, I believe it took Phog Allen 36 years to get this win total. Now there are more games that have been played across college basketball. Jacqueline, of course, over the past couple of decades there, but highly impressive. Right now, I can guarantee you Bill Self doesn't much care about that. He's prepping for Michigan State and trying to continue some good momentum after Kansas, in its game on Friday, its home game against North Carolina, gave up all the way a 20-point lead at home to UNC, which is a good team, but still never want to see that. And now in comes a Michigan State team that has yet to play a high-profile opponent. Granted, we're only on day 8 of the regular season here, so I'm intrigued to see how Michigan State's guards match up with Kansas in a game that I think it could be a little bit sneaky here. Michigan State, not a preseason top 20 team, but it does have some returning pieces here. And Tom Izzo, obviously, no stranger to some success and to scheduling difficulty here. I like this matchup a lot. I think the number is actually too big in Kansas's favor.
Wow, yeah, I was going to say, are we going to see the type of Kansas team we saw in the first half against UNC, or is it going to be the type that we saw in the second half? Also, I never bet against Tom Izzo, rather, whether it's in March or in big moments. I know he knows how to meet the moment. Let's talk about the second leg of the doubleheader, because we have two blue bloods there in Duke and Kentucky. We're going to see Cooper Flagg in action once again. A great test for both of these teams very early on in the season, Matt. But who are you more curious to learn more about? Because we have experience versus talent when it comes to the rosters here.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Kentucky in this matchup because there's a lot of new pieces here. Mark Pope. I mean, listen, the Duke angles, Con Knippel's been amazing. What's Cooper Flagg going to be like? How is Kentucky going to match up on Cooper Flagg, oh, by the way? Like, who are they going to throw at him? Is it going to be, Andrew Carr? I wouldn't expect so. You've got Amari Williams, the transfer from Drexel for Kentucky. He could be the guy. Jackson Robinson is a player I would just watch out for, period. 6'6" transfer who came over to Kentucky, followed Mark Pope there. He's very intriguing. Kentucky's off to a good start shooting from three-point range. And you've got Kobe Brea, who's hit 10 of his 12 three-point attempts. He was one of the best three-point shooters in the country last season. Now we get a big boy game on a big stage. This is obviously the first big stage of Cooper Flagg's career. How will he thrive? Will he be used as a primary target? Will Duke look to Con Knippel and Tyrese Proctor, each of whom are 7 of 14 from three-point range so far this season, Jacqueline? So they've been 50% shooters, albeit against mid-major type of competition. So I'm not going to be in Atlanta tonight, but I've been to a number of Champions Classics. I can just tell you the buzz in the building every time it gets played, no matter which combination of these four teams matches up against each other, it's very palpable. There's a certain level of intensity, environment. This feels like the start in earnest of the college basketball season. So there's a lot across the board on Tuesday with all four of these teams in both of these matchups. With Kansas, preseason number 1, can they live up to that? Michigan State, what are you made of here? Are you going to be a true Big Ten contender? Are you going to be a team that can really chase top 10 status? With Duke, okay, Cooper Flagg, big stage. What are you going to show us here? Or will it still continue to be Con Knippel, who could be as valuable as Flag. And then with Kentucky, Mark Pope, you start anew. No more John Calipari. It's a whole new cast of characters. The offense is super fun up and down the floor. I do think Duke and Kentucky has a chance if things break the right way, to where we could get the first team to 86, 88, or 90 points winds up winning.
Matt, is it March yet? I mean, we have so many storylines that we just hit on in this doubleheader tonight. We appreciate it. Matt Norlander getting us pumped for the Champions Classic, and it all kicks off with Kansas and Michigan State, followed by Duke and Kentucky. You can hear Matt Norlander on the Island College Basketball Podcast alongside Gary Parrish. You can download, follow, listen wherever you get your pods, or you can watch right now by scanning that QR code.